Welcome to Geek Thoughts from the confines of the Fortress of Solitude, my Fortress of Solitude, that is, with the specter of Big Blue and, oh hey, Spider-Man back there watching over us all. I'm flying solo today. Fine Matt is out saving the world. Actually, he's probably just getting coffee. But a lot has happened in the world of Superman just in the last couple days as of this taping. News from out of Comic Con of what we can expect. And if my mood seems a little off, solemn, or serious, it's because I'm just baffled as anyone else. What they have in store, it just came out of nowhere what they have in store for Man of Steel 2. And the villain they chose is not who I would have expected. It's something that fans have been talking about for years and years and years, going back to, let's see, what was the Will Smith movie? I Am Legend. Yeah. People were saying, when are we going to get that Batman Superman movie? When are we going to get World's Finest? And, well, now we have it, and it's amazing the difference 6 years makes. We're all very, very disappointed. And there's articles going around that DC is going to rush into a Justice League movie before they're ready, which I agree. I mean, they should really take the time to plan it out. Marvel did. Marvel took the time and care to make sure they had the right Hulk movie before they got into an Avengers movie. So DC might want to take a cue from that. Maybe make one more Superman movie to make up for the ending that a lot of people weren't happy with. yeah, that's actually how how this next movie's gonna end. He's gonna kill Batman. Yeah, spoiler alert, it's gonna be Batman versus Superman, or Batman and Superman if they call it World's Finest. Well, actually, would that count as a spoiler alert since I've been talking about it? Well, in case you just joined us. Yes, it's going to be Batman Superman for the first time on the silver screen, which has been a geek fantasy probably since the days of Christopher Reeve. And if I'm disappointed, I was really hoping for, like I said, one more Superman movie. And there's a whole bevy of villains that they could have chosen from. They didn't have to go straight for Batman, even though Batman is considered the greatest mortal foil for Clark, which bothers me too because Batman and Superman should be allies. This Frank Miller stuff of the Boy Scout versus Entropy. It's never sat right with me. But I would have expected a lot more, something else entirely. I mean, they definitely surprised me, and they must have surprised Christian Bale because no word yet on whether he's going to be involved. But I was hoping for another Superman solo film. I was hoping for something with a villain we haven't seen. I mean, the obvious would have been Lex Luthor, because you saw the Luthor Corp trucks all over the place, like Luthor Corp, Lex Corp. Which one is it, DC, really? So you thought, oh, we're gonna get Lex Luthor, and even though we've got him a million times before, we're gonna get him for Man of Steel 2. And well, actually, that could still be the case. They might do Bruce Wayne as Lex Luthor's business partner, like the cartoons, and they could even take a cue from Grant Morrison in Action Comics and involve Luthor in a ancillary capacity that puts him right at the center of things, but it doesn't make him the main bad, which always tends to involve Brainiac, another possibility. Although it feels like they always use Brainiac. I wouldn't be upset if they gave Brainiac a break for a little while. It's as if he's the only uh, alien villain that can go toe to toe with Superman other than Zod. If it's been done on Smallville, or in the animated series for me and for most of you fans and geeks out there, I think it's going to be a little bit difficult to sell since it's already overdone by the time it reaches the screen. And with that in mind, so many other possibilities that I've been waiting, dying to see, and some of which have were teased by Man of Steel itself, or at least by some of the director's commentary on it, such as Man of Steel, no mention of kryptonite, no reference of kryptonite. So you could make Man of Steel 2 all about that. You could have Luthor with the kryptonite ring. You could bring in Metallo, another character who's probably been done a lot, but it feels like not as much as they used to. Metallo was one of the elite Superman villains for the longest time. He was always a go-to. He was a go-to for a very long time, and it seems somewhere between Superman the Animated Series and New 52. They just forgot about him. Too much Brainiac, I guess. Another very obvious one, Darkseid. Now, we're gonna see Thanos in the next Avengers movie, so it would have seemed probable, at least, that DC would give a shot at trying a Darkseid movie for a change. Darkseid as a villain in a movie for a change. But it's looking like we're gonna have to watch those season 10 DVDs of Smallville and the really epic treatment of Darkseid in Superman TAS to get our fix, some of our memories, some of our nostalgia. I mean, I was always a bit blasé about Darkseid, but you can't go wrong with Jack Kirby and Bruce Timm, and the cartoon crew at Warner did such a wonderful job. Every time they bring out Darkseid, it's memorable, like Superman, Batman, Public Enemies. Fantastic movie. But what bothered me is that it seemed like I was getting so bored and tired of Darkseid, which same thing with Zod, same thing with Brainiac. But if they could find a very capable actor like they did with Michael Shannon and Zod, it wouldn't disappoint. I know that. But since I'm covering all these villains that I'm saying, it's old hat, done to death. Don't care if I ever see it again. There's a lot of great Superman villains who have been done their justice, but not in a movie or even much in the cartoons. One of which, aside from the season where Sam Witwer played him on Smallville, Doomsday. Doomsday would be a great idea because the death of Superman was so critical, and it was a graphic novel that Henry Cavill read preparing for the role, and they tried so many times to get Doomsday to work in various screenplays throughout the 90s of Superman projects that never got picked up. So maybe the next Superman movie could have been The Death of Superman. It still could, Death of Superman with Batman, but, you know, how's Batman going to stop Doomsday after he kills Superman, really? Hmm. Let's see, what else? Superman probably as being this new alien species, and if Lex Luthor is going to be involved, the government's probably going to do what they can to get their hands on Superman's DNA. So, another logical choice for the next Superman movie would have been Bizarro. He's back. Hey, buddy. Been a while. What have you been up to? Fascinating. So Bizarro is something that, while in the cartoons and the comics and Smallville and on, they've done, it's still fertile ground for Zack Snyder and DC as far as a big blockbuster Superman movie and how they could do it. I mean, you could have Cavill play Bizarro or a computer animated Bizarro. Tom Welling played Bizarro on the series, so it might be pretty cool. There's a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of ways they could go. Or if you want a Superman who is more coherent, maybe you could do a movie around Superboy Prime or some kind of other alternate universe where you've got a younger, maybe, Superman who didn't have quite the upbringing that Clark had in Smallville, and who jumps through a wormhole and just punches Clark out. I mean, that became such an iconic. That became Superboy Prime became such an iconic character that you wonder why uh, they haven't pursued even drafted that yet. But amongst all, the one I want to see the most, the coolest Superman villain ever, someone who needs to be done justice, and David Goyer, being responsible for the storytelling, I know is someone who would agree with me, because he is as much a child of 90s comics as I am. And if you want to find a new and novel way to work Kryptonite into the Superman universe in the movies, this is the perfect villain to do it. Conduit. Not even a new 52. What's wrong with you, DC? This is the future. This is what you need to bring back, right here. Yes, or he'll burn you all with his kryptonite radiated coils. Conduit was a very interesting villain. Well, can't really get him on camera, but I'll try and bring him up as much as I can. Conduit was a very interesting villain. He was much more personal than Superman's villains in the past. Knew he not only grew up to fight Superman, but he knew Clark in Smallville, and there is some evidence that one of the bullies in Man of Steel, who tormented Clark when he wanted desperately to use his powers and to get back at the local kids pushing him around, that strong it was hinted that one of them was Kenny Braverman, which is the real identity of Conduit in the comics. And when they had him, even when they had him, they didn't really know what to do with him, because they used him for a short while, but then they killed him off, and he hasn't been seen in the comics since. But Conduit is remembered fondly, very fondly, by many diehard Superman fans. In the 90s, there were two major villains, two big revelations to the world of Superman. One of them was Doomsday, the other, Conduit. Obviously, you can tell, because based on this action figure from the 90s. And I have a Doomsday one too, but it's lying around. It's in a tin somewhere. They made a Conduit action figure. They made Doomsday. They made Superman in like battle scar, who was battle damaged. They had Hunter Prey Superman. I have that figure somewhere too. And they had Superboy, Return of Superman, Superboy with the leather jacket and the fade, and Steel. There's an idea. Steel for the next Superman movie. Make up for that awful whatever that was with Shaquille O'Neal back in '97. Ugh. In fact, that was on the other night. Oh jeez. Oh well, I'm losing track of it. Losing track of things here, but if I were to have a number one pick for what I want to see in Superman, either in the New 52 or in the movies, this would be it. Conduit. But instead, it's going to be Dark Knight versus Man of Steel. And while we're shocked, I think that maybe, just maybe, we should give it a chance, see what they do with it. If they've learned anything from Man of Steel, it's to not kill your bad guy, so we probably won't see that again. Keep your fingers crossed. Keep your conduit coils crossed. Man, I want to get a, I want a shirt. I want a conduit shirt. V's just not cutting it. All right, too many tangents. But even though we're not getting Conduit, we're not getting Darkseid, we're not getting Bizarro, we're not getting anything, we're not getting Kryptonite, we're getting Batman. Goyer's proven that he can spin a decent comic book yarn. He could probably make Batman Superman the next Dark Knight, you never know. But I have to admit, I would much rather see something else. I would much rather they get the Superman franchise right for the first time in 30 years than just come out of left field with this because they think it's going to make money. It's purely a money decision because Batman is so much more bankable than Superman, as the box office numbers for Man of Steel and Superman Returns have proven to us versus those for Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. But if Bale is not going to be Batman, you might have a hard time getting fans to buy tickets, which is amazing to me because Christian Bale, I mean, of course, he did such a great job. He is the best, one of the best Batman of all time, and he is the Batman of his generation, of this generation. But he's still a very young actor. It's shocking to me that for everything else he's done, that people are already saying no one but Christian Bale. If no Bale, we riot. You know, you're not. We don't say that about well, hopefully we'll say that about Henry Cavill as Superman, but we're not saying that about Brandon Routh or Tom Welling or anybody that's played Superman. You can't say that about Christopher Reeve, and even if he was still with us, you couldn't say it because unless you want Superman flying around in a chair. Uh, no offense to anybody. I probably push Christopher Reeve around too much on my shows, but which I'm not trying to do. I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan. I love Christopher Reeve. Nothing bad to say about the man. Rest his soul. Probably gonna get in trouble for that. Well, before my mouth gets me in any more trouble, and I unintentionally write any checks that I don't wish to cash, it's probably best if I sign off and say best for the next Superman movie, the next Batman movie, and hopefully DC knows what they're getting into. And I'm just going to leave you with my mission statement. Forever.